And we're back with me, Johnny McMurray, on the On the Spot Football Podcast for yet another fantastic guest. Throwing it back into the goalkeeping union. This guy's rise to fame through the Irish League is so different than everybody else's, and you're going to find out why. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Wesley Lamont. Wesley, how are you, sir?
Johnny? Not so bad.
Thank you for coming in.
Not a problem.
It's one of the first guests that I haven't organised to come on the podcast, but once I'd done my research, I was more than happy for you to come on. What a story.
Thank you.
Very different story.
So it's pretty different. Like, it was, I spent, let me see, 6 years, some say 6 years too much in the junior league, but when I signed for Ballymena when I was 19, and to be honest, I was a wee bit overawed by the whole experience, and stayed there for a couple of months, and then I didn't really do myself justice.
Okay.
And I enjoyed playing with the mates on the Saturday morning and stuff like that. So I drifted back into junior football again, and I think my time at Ballymena sort of disillusioned me a bit.
Okay.
So I did about Irish League football, you know, because I didn't really enjoy it up there. As I say, I was really overawed about the whole thing because I was standing behind the fence, supporting these guys, you know, being a fan. And here it was mixing in the changing room with them, you know. It was sort of strange. One minute I was supporting these guys, next minute I was in the same changing room as us.
Bit different when you're shouting abuse because they're shouting the weekend. and then you're going to try and go in and tell them they're your mates,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but as I say, when I junior football, played for a few junior clubs. Coleraine Rangers was the main one. Okay. They were the team that were winning all the trophies, and I had a few spots in junior football with Coleraine. Actually, the season before I went in the Irish League, I was actually playing 2 games in a day. I was playing out in the morning and doing goals in the afternoon.
Right, okay.
For England, for a guy called Army Bigot. Sadly, no longer with us. In fact, it was Big Army. If it hadn't for Big Army, I don't think I would have made the break in Irish football, because he was the one that got me mentally right, gave me that confidence, and you've no idea the pain that man put me through in the training sessions.
Was this outfield or infield?
No, doing goals, because he told me to wise up. Look, stop playing out. You're a goalkeeper. You know?
What bit did you enjoy the most at the time, though? That's the main question. Like, were you a midfield maestro at that stage?
No, I was a striker.
Okay.
I was a striker. I enjoyed sticking the ball in the net. I mean, you know yourself. You know,
it's nice to be a glory hunter sometimes. You know?
They stick the ball in the net, but I think Army sort of more or less said to me, he says, "Look, it's you're better in goals." And I didn't think it was too bad a player out either, like, but I think he was right.
Did you know yourself at that stage? I'm a better goalkeeper here than.
I did. I knew at that stage, and like once I'd played a season with England, I got a 2-week. Well, I was training with Coleraine for 2 weeks, pre-season, and there was a summer cup competition on in Coleraine. Okay. It was a famous old summer cup competition there. They played it every year. It was brilliant. Some great games, but we were playing the semi-final against a team from Larne. And the manager of that team happened to be a Linfield scout, Andy Scott. And we were playing a team from Larne, ex-Irish League players and stuff, and amateur league players. And I was playing for a team called Coleraine Rangers. And we beat them 2-0. And yours truly played a blender.
As usual.
So I didn't know at the time, but I couldn't play in the final on a Saturday because I had to go out to a mate's wedding.
Yeah.
And it was at the wedding, I got a phone call. Army Bigot phoned the hotel. Now, for life, I don't know how the hell he got the hotel. He must have been doing some looking about.
I'm just thinking, they're all like, come to mind as the big yellow pages. And he's probably flicked through the yellow pages.
Because what happened was Linfield had apparently got in contact with him, and they were sending somebody up. They were sending a couple of people up to watch me play in the final. And I wasn't playing in it, and like once Army got me on the phone, and he says, "Wes, do you know that Linfield are interested?" And I says, "I wind up. I just start winding it. Is that Army? Is that really Army?" You know, that's the kind of conversation we were having. And Army says, "No, I swear, Wes, I'm not bullshitting you. Linfield are interested." And I says, "Oh, for God's sake, they're coming up to watch me at day, and I'm not even playing." I says, "Will they still keep their interest?" I said, "Oh, yes, Wes, definitely, no doubt." And So, next thing I got a phone call from Linfield, Davy Chisholm, and they asked me to come and play a friendly for them, for the Swifts. They were playing out in their Huckle, so they were out and played and seemed to do all right. Davy Chisholm went back to Eric Boyer and gave him a good report, and it all went from there. It happened very fast. From when I realised Linfield's initial interest, I mean, within a week I'd signed.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'd have walked to Windsor Park. I mean, they don't turn down Linfield, like,
No.
you know, and I remember going up, Army Bagger went up with me, and walking into Windsor Park and all, and I had to pinch myself, really, you know. But I went in, spoke with Eric, and Eric really impressed me, because Linfield had just signed Paul Prentice at Cliftonville at £10,000, which is a lot of dough in them days for a goalkeeper. And people actually had said to me, you know, don't go to Linfield, Wes, you'll not get your place, and blah, 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 and all this. They're not going to leave Paul Prentice on the bench and stuff like this. But when I spoke with Eric Boyer, Eric promised me, he says, look, son, if you do the business, you'll be in. Simple as that. Don't worry about how much money has been spent on Paul Prentice or anything like that. If you do the business, you'll be in. And he was true to his word. So he was, you know, I mean, after the second game, you know, it took a lot of balls to do what Eric done. You know, nobody could have said on time if they went with the experienced goalkeeper.
Yeah, 100%.
But he threw an amateur goalkeeper in.
Well, one of the things I'm kind of struggling to come to terms with here is the fact that you're that comfortable for 6-7 years in amateur league football, and then you go to Linfield. There's about 4 or 5, maybe 6 leagues of a difference there for you to go.
Oh, it was
play. So you know what I mean?
It was a big step.
Like, surely whenever you step out, even for your first game, you're probably thinking, going, "Oh my."
My first game for Linfield was against at Windsor. Was against Everton.
Right, okay.
I come on for the last 20 minutes and was a baptism of fire, but I didn't let any in, which was good. Getting my first ball again from Big David Jeffries was an experience.
Okay.
There was one I didn't come for, and he actually chowed the balls off me. Well into his league, son. Mm-hmm. And I made sure I came for the next one. I'm going to show you that.
Go clean through him next one.
But no, I think my first game for the Blues, my first proper game for the Blues was against Wrexham. Over in we went to Wales for a pre-season friendly with Wrexham. Played in that one, and I think the Everton game was when we came home. But I had a pretty good pre-season with Linfield, and obviously when the season started, Paul went in for the first 2 games, and I think he made a mistake in the first game, and Eric dropped him off the second game and threw me at me. My first game was away at Yards. We won 1-0, kept the clean sheet. My second game was the Oval against Glentoran.
Okay.
So thrown into the deep end, like, but what a night that was. We beat the Glens 1-0, and Big Baxter scored in the last minute. There's no better time to score a goal like that, especially in a Big 2 game.
Now you get it.
And the atmosphere was brilliant that night. It was my first experience, you know, of a Big 2 game, and I loved it.
It's your first real experience, like, of fans, let's be honest, because,
yeah.
I know you've been to Ballymena games as a kid, and obviously supported them. You said that you were a wee bit sceptical of going in at that stage, but if you're playing 6 years in the lower leagues, there's a couple of mates standing around the outside of a pitch. Yep. Do you know what I mean? And then next minute you're Big 2, probably 10, 15,000 people there.
Oh, it was a baptism of fire now, I must admit. But I have to say I enjoyed it. I loved it. I thought to myself, geez, I get used to this, you know. And
you did now, to be fair, because you get used to it for about 6 seasons, I think. That's like
12 seasons. I ended up playing 12 seasons. No, actually, I look back now, sometimes we bit of regret, you know, that I didn't apply myself a bit better.
Okay.
Earlier on, you know, but then again, I might not have played for Linfield. If things might have worked out differently, I might not have played for Linfield. So, but I knew I was 26 at the time, and I knew that this was my last chance. I've got to make the most of this.
It's, as I said, like that introduction earlier, I've been thinking about this all day and how I can try and put it out there, because it's so different than everybody else. Like, there's not many people that only make their debut in the Irish League at 26.
No, that's true.
And even at that, where does the confidence come from? Because, as you said there, like, you've jumped about 6-7 leagues. and you're going in there in front of a lot of people, for you to be that confident to think, I'll go in here in front of Prentice, he'll not play, and cement your place for 6 seasons is...
I was a case of taking every game as it came, you know, because once I played one game, I never looked further than the next game, because I knew the standards up there at Windsor. If you didn't perform, you wouldn't be in. So I concentrated and just never looked further in the next game, and applied myself for every game, and it seemed to work for me. I made 34 appearances in my first season of the Blues, which I didn't know I expect.
No.
But the second season, I played the first 3 games, and then I got a knee injury, and big Alan Patterson came in then. He was a young keeper, and very good keeper, and kept me out for the whole season. But that season, Johnny, when I think about it, that season I spent in the Swifts was a good grounding for me. The first season, it was a struggle, like, because Linfield were in transition. And when you make a mistake, like, and you were getting dogs abuse from some of the diehards, you know, I wasn't used to that side of it, you know, and it took me a while to get used to that. And
did that affect you coming off a pitch if you had made mistakes and the fans were?
I didn't like make mistakes at the best of times, you know, but this was different. When you made a mistake in amateur football, you know, it's okay. You're disappointed that you made a mistake. But you didn't have the added pressure of letting down thousands of people, you know, like you had in Linfield. And that was, like, it really did. Every time I made a mistake, I worried about it too much, you know. I didn't like making mistakes. No keeper likes me playing mistakes, but as I say, there was the added pressure, you know, of playing in front of a big crowd. And, you know, it's not nice making a mistake in front of a big crowd, like, because you want to play well all the time.
See, for someone who hasn't played at that level until 26, going into Linfield, this is something that I've been very curious with for years, and it's something that I do believe happens. Obviously, Linfield is the biggest club in the country, and it's designed to win, pretty much. Its whole philosophy is they need to win. Yeah. And for you not to be a winner at that stage, to go into that changing room, did you adopt that mindset very quickly? No,
see, Coleraine Rangers was probably the Linfield of the Saturday Morning League at that time.
Aye, but I mean at that level.
Oh, yeah.
Were you able to fit into that sort of mindset very quickly and go, you know what, I'm here? And did you feel the confidence of being at Linfield, being, I'll win now? Yeah,
I was where I want, you know, like, coming in after a defeat at Linfield, it wasn't a very nice experience.
Yeah.
You know, in the changing room, like, defeat was taken very badly up there, and I had those experiences at a lower level with Coleraine, so mentally I was a winner, you know. Always wanted to win anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so it was the right environment for me. There was absolutely no problem. No fan in to that side of it. So there wasn't.
In terms of you being in there though, how good of a manager was Eric for you at that time?
Oh, very good. Eric, you know, he would give me a balling when I needed it. You know, and that was the thing. Like, there was only 2 ways. Once you if you weren't performing, you know, people like David Jeffries and Eric Boyer and some of the more experienced, the Dorneys and people like that, you know, you would get ironic at times, and it was done to try and help you.
Yeah.
You know, there are only 2 ways you can react to something like that. You know, shout yourself or focus. That's my way to say it.
You say whatever you want. It's fine. Don't be worrying about it.
You know, it's, and I was determined, you know, that I wasn't going to fail. I wasn't going to let that sort of thing get to me. You know, I was a winner at heart anyway, so it wasn't really too hard to make to adapt to that.
When you say that you went in there at that stage and Linfield were going through a transition, what do you mean by that?
Well, Portadown had won the league. Had just won the league. I think Portadown they had sort of become the best team in the league at that time. The players like Stevie Kyan and Goal Machine and Linfield, they had lost a few players. They'd lost George Dunlop, and they were just. It was clear to everybody that over the next couple of years, it was they were just going to rebuild them again. You know, it was a tough time, really. Like, it was because the fans, Linfield fans, are so used to having success for so long. and they have a couple of barren seasons. You know, that was pretty tough. So it was.
Must be different for you going in at that stage because, as I say, Linfield are used to winning.
Yeah.
And when you go in and you think, "Oh, what I won the Linfield, I'm going to win the league," and then you don't.
Yeah.
It must be differently.
Especially at that level. You know, like it was a new thing for me. Like I know I was 26 and I was experienced at junior level. I wasn't experienced at that level. Mm-hmm. You know, and it did take me a while to get used to it. Like, you know, a lot of people don't realise it took me about 2 seasons to really settle in at the Blues.
Yeah.
So it did. That's why I'm saying that season I spent in the Swifts was really, like, let me settle in, get to know the players a bit better and stuff, and it was a real good grounding for me. We won the B Division that year too, which was good, but
You're saying that's a good grounding for you at that time?
Uh-huh.
I know from playing with a lot of goalkeepers at my time that if they were put to a Swiss for a year, they'd have wanted out after 6 months.
Yeah, but that wasn't me at all. I was determined. I thought that this is the biggest club in the country and I want to do it here. Yeah. The only way I was walking out that door is they were telling me, sort of thing, you know. And Big Paddy was playing well. You know, there was no way, you know, you could dislodge Big Paddy because he was doing well. And I just resigned myself. So I'm just going to be patient here, work hard, do my stuff, and the next time I get that jersey, I'm not going to let go of it.
Talked about there that you were in Linfield for 6 seasons.
6 seasons,
7 trophies. You ended up becoming quite successful.
Well, I was successful enough. Some nice memories, some nice experience. I mean, to win an Irish League title or an Irish Cup was a great feeling, as you know yourself. Yeah. It's a fantastic feeling. And it's a feeling you can't really describe to anybody unless they've really, you know, they experienced it themselves. But they won a trophy in front of the Blues. The Blue fans was just magnificent. So it was an incredible feeling to win that first league title. We had got to the Irish Cup final in '92. Glenavon beat us 2-1. I didn't play in that final, but sitting in the changing room, even though I didn't play in the changing room after that cup final, when you seen how disappointed everybody was, you know, and they were determined, you know, to put it right, and put it right we did, because we won the league the next season.
See, whenever you're talking about the Irish Cup, I don't want to go on because I've been a part of teams that have been, like Linfield beat us when we played Lauren Linfield, so over COVID. They beat us. I sat in the bench that game. And it felt different for me. It's not the same, I don't think.
No.
When you don't feel like you've contributed to the game, there's a really different feeling involved in the team losing or team winning.
You give you an example. Roy Keane has a Champions League medal, and he says it means nothing to him because he didn't play in the final. You know, it's I know exactly what you're saying. You want to be part of it. It feels a lot better when you're part of it.
At least make a contribution, don't you?
Yeah.
But it's for people probably thinking like, oh God, you win the Irish Cup. Yes, you get beat, you're still there. Yes, you get the suit. I mean, it's just no use to you whenever you lose, do you know what I mean?
Definitely not. No.
But at the same time, it's like, you just feel like it's not really the same.
No, it's not the same. But no, the only place to be is in the first team. Experiencing it, you know, firsthand. It means a lot more. As you say, you've contributed. So you have. It's nice, that extra bit special.
It does. Especially as long as you've done something, you just be like, you know what, I can live with myself now. But
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Talk to me about your whole time at Linfield, because you win 2 leagues, you win 2 Irish Cups, you win the League Cup, the Budweiser Cup, and you get 1 Antrim Shield.
Yeah.
What's your best memory of you being?
Best memory at Linfield? Oh, that's easy. 94. The day we won the title against Glentoran, Portadown and Glenavon. I mean, we had to play 4 games in a week. I mean, we went unbeaten from November. I mean, that team had characters all over the pitch. So we never knew when we were beat. And as I say, we went unbeaten from November. And as the season was drawn to a close, you know, the games were getting bigger and bigger, and it was getting more exciting. But that day, the last week we had to play 4 games. We had to get down to Portadown, and if Portadown had won that day, they'd have won the league. There was 10,000 in Shamrock Park. Shamrock Park was packed to the rafters, and we beat them 2-0. Okay. And we had the League Cup final on the Tuesday night against Coleraine. won that 2-0. And then we played Newry away on the Thursday night and drew 1 each. And that's when everybody thought we blew it, because that meant we were a point behind Portadown and Glenavon. They were level in points, which meant we needed them to draw on the Saturday. And we had to beat Glentoran. So basically we needed a miracle, really.
Let's not go too far here, but 4 games in 7 days.
4 games in 7
That's
days.
wild. Like, whoever done that, just kind of stitches up there. Game every 2 days near.
4 games in a week. And
somebody didn't want Linfield to win that year.
oh well, it staggers me that the lads had the energy to even play the game on the Saturday, because but you know yourself, Johnny, sometimes adrenaline
just gets you through.
You through, you know. But playing in the game itself was, I don't think I've ever went through so many different emotions in a football match, because I think the Glentoran men were more or less telling us the score, singing songs like "You're Not Champions Anymore" and all this, and we realised Glenavon were 2-0 up, and Trevor came in at half time and more or less said we were 0-0 at half time, and Trevor more or less said to us, "Look, let's just win this game, just go out, win this game, and let the rest take care of itself." So we did. We went out, played well. Desi Gorman scored. Pat Fennan scored first, and then Desi Gorman scored. But in between times, we could hear the roar of the Linfield men. Portadown had scored. It was 2-1. Okay. And then we heard an almighty roar. We obviously realised that by the strength of the roar with the Linfield men, Portadown had equalised. It was 2 each. And then you could see it give us a huge lift. So I think we made it 2-0 after we heard that Portadown had equalised. And then we played out the game. We got to the end of the game. The game was over, but we had 4 minutes to suffer.
Right, he's raiding off the pitch.
And like, you could picture the scene. There's hundreds of blue men on the pitch, and there's actually a few hundred Glentoran men standing in the far corner. They were waiting for Glen after.
Yeah, to get the
goal, you know, so they can sag us, you know. Yeah. But we're all standing on the pitch, and there were longest 4 minutes I ever had to suffer in my life, Johnny. Yeah. It was terrible. But anyway, I'm standing with a Linfield fan, and he's got the radio, and we're standing listening, and next thing, the guy was commentating the game, and it's Casey. He's clean through. He could win it here for the Ports. He hits it, and it's past the posts. I swear, Johnny, I nearly collapsed. And seconds, about 20 seconds after that final whistle went, and you just cannot describe, especially when we weren't expected to win it. You know, we weren't Portadown and Glenavon were supposed to, one of those two were expected to win the match and walk away with the title, but it was an unbelievable feeling. The euphoria and the release was just, everybody just went totally mad. It was just pandemonium.
Especially at the Oval.
No, this was at Windsor.
Or was it
we won the title before, the season before at the Oval. But, what a night. That was fantastic. Probably the peak of my football career, without a doubt. And then with the Irish Cup final the week after.
I was about to say, you just win the title, that buzz, you're electric, aren't you? You're like, let's go on us here for like a week, 2 week partying, and then all of a sudden it's like, right, rein yourselves in, you're back in Tuesday night, and then you've got the Irish
Luckily enough, we had a week's rest for, you know, after playing 4 games in a week, we had a good week's rest for the cup final, and fortunately went out and we won it 2-0. And it was a lovely sunny day. Playing an Irish Cup final, nice sunny day, like it's nothing. And I'm sad that there's no more Irish Cup finals at the Oval, to be honest.
Right.
You know, because it's, especially Linfield and Glentoran are playing, there's a great atmosphere at the Oval. And but now, obviously, with the corporate sponsors and stuff, it's always played at Windsor, and it looks it'll always be the case.
One of the best things about the Irish Cup, I think, at the minute is the crowds are back.
Aye.
Especially in the last year or two.
Aye.
I mean, really seen. I know maybe last year probably dipped slightly, but I mean,
I was at a cup final between Cliftonville and Linfield, and I was actually at Windsor the last time Cliftonville won the cup in 1979, and I was actually toying with it. I said, "No, I'm not going. I'll be a scud. And sure enough, I went to, and Cliftonville. I think Cliftonville deserved it, to be honest. Linfield had a better first half, but I don't know what happened. They never came out of the traps for the second half, and Cliftonville, they thoroughly deserved their win. So, but the crowd that day was amazing. Windsor Park was nearly full.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be.
It should be an Irish Cup final. That's the way it should be.
And that's the really good thing. I think the last few years I've been there, like I played in a few, and then being there and watching, I think, gives you a different perspective on it all. But I think that Clinville Linfield one was, almost as much as they could put into the stadium, and it was electric. Flowers, I think the atmosphere.
That's probably the standard for all Irish Cup finals. They fully now was that Linfield Cliftonville final.
It was brilliant too.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Good day.
It was. And the result wasn't so good for us.
No, but good day for the Reds.
Good day for the Reds.
Talk me through your experiences of being in Europe with Linfield, because one of the things that Linfield are kind of prized on is the fact that they've done tremendously well in Europe over their times. But
I love the European games.
You had a very big trip to Copenhagen.
Copenhagen. We won before that. Tbilisi. Tbilisi was a big trip too. I mean, I remember the trip to Tbilisi with emergency landing in Ukraine was a bit hairy.
Okay.
We were coming in. Shelburne had actually chartered a plane with us, to cut costs. And we were coming in. They were playing a team from Ukraine, and as we were coming on the land, you could feel the thrusters going on. You could feel yourself sitting back in the seat again. I said, "Oh my God, he must have overshot the runway. He's going for another.
He's going to go back for
another run right here." At this time, I had no idea, but while the plane was banging up and going around again, the flight attendants, I noticed the flight attendants, they were very nervous looking. I actually seen sweat on one of their brows.
Right.
So I thought myself, something's not right here.
Puts you in that panic, doesn't it? You're sitting there going,
And as we come down after the second run, we hit the runway, and as we're going down the runway, I looked out and seen a fire engine come in there. What the fuck's going on here? I thought, never thought in it. Anyway, the plane came to a stop, so obviously we were down safely, and Shelburne were getting off the plane, getting their kit off the plane, getting into the bus, and I was coming down the stairs because I came out to stretch my legs, and as I'm coming down the stairs, hear this hammering, and up down, and these two guys are working in the front undercarriage with a sledgehammer.
Right. How's the hammer away?
Hammering. Sledgehammer. And I said, Jesus, what's going on here? We have to get back on this plane again. And my one abiding memory about that night was all the Shelburne party. They were getting on the bus, and as the bus was driving away, every one of their heads, every one of them, was looking towards...
What are you doing? Time for you to get off.
You could tell what they were thinking. You could tell what they were thinking. I said, these guys have to get back on this plane again. And boys like Alan Dornan and Lee Doherty hated flying. And he wasn't too good a shape. He was very, very nervous. But we got onto the plane anyway, and we seemed to fix. But I tell you what, Johnny, that was the quietest plane I ever took off on. Nobody opened their mouth. And but anyway, we got off. We got to Tbilisi, and we landed safely. And Georgia was an experience. It was the first time I'd ever seen real poverty in my life. I mean, it was. We were the first Western visitors to go into Georgia since the wall came down, since the fall of communism in Russia. And honestly, some of the wains were walking about with their bare feet and stuff, and it made you think how lucky you were at home. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have problems at home and stuff, and you hear people complaining. Living in that environment, I think, would bring it really home to you. How lucky you are.
We've got it very comfortable here. You know what I mean? When you take into consideration everything that we get.
Yep. And the hotel itself, Johnny. Honestly, it was one of the most luxurious hotels I'd ever stayed in my life. It was like a big white elephant sitting in the middle of a shanty town.
Yeah.
Sitting up on the hill, and you can only describe it as slums all around it. And you walked in. And the big reception, and one of the sign behind the reception, please leave firearms behind the desk.
Right, okay.
Because we were in the middle of they were sort of fighting a rebel army out west or out in the east. And even at night, when we were lying sleeping at night, you could hear gunshots in the distance. So you couldn't. And one day we were out walking around the hotel, and I found a spent bullet case outside the hotel.
Right.
So that's the kind of environment that we were in, and
good tactics from them. They're just dropping wee casings around, going these and stuff. Shit themselves.
Linfield. I tell you,
we got them in Europe.
The Georgians looked after us. They treated us like kings. So they did. I couldn't have said enough about the Georgian people, and we were looked after by the Georgian mafia.
Right.
So our guys with Kalashnikov rifles, stuff they, you know, and I think if anybody had a trident, they'd have been dealt with in the very severe manner. It was sinister looking chaps, so they were.
Okay, understandable.
But the match itself was amazing. I mean, we got on the bus from the hotel, travelled to the stadium, got to the stadium, big giant bowl of a stadium, and like soon we got outside. You remember the old Wembley Cup finals where the bus used to come into Wembley,
Yeah.
and it was swamped with supporters. That's what it was like. And we were sitting, we thought we were royally, we were waving at them and all. They were banging them, Dynamo, Dynamo, like that. Yeah. And we got into the stadium and got a cat down, out onto the stadium, out on the pitch. To, you know, there was about 30,000 in the ground at this time.
We were warm up near enough.
We were looking around, and it was just amazing. And I think I turned around to Alan Dorn and said, "When are we going to get another chance like this?" And we were buzzing. So we were. The atmosphere just got you up there, and then got changed. By the time we came out on the pitch, there was about 60,000 in the ground.
Class.
It was just amazing. So it was, but we didn't know what kind of team Tbilisi had. You know, we were sort of unknown, you know, but the first 10, 15 minutes we knew. It was like chasing shadows. Yeah. You ever see a ping pong, you know, the ball, the ping pong, that's where the ball was going, and we were, you know, and I think they scored after 15 minutes. And I know I shouldn't say this, like, but I was glad to hear I wanted to hear what the roar was like in the squad. You know, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
But after that, it was, I had some say, they kept shooting at, for some reason I kept saying never, they threw at me. It was just one of those games. Sometimes you're a goalkeeper, you know, after about 20, 25 minutes, he's coming away, beat me at 8.
Yeah.
You know,
you have your game, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Probably like somebody outfield, knowing I'm scoring here, and I'll score again.
Yeah. And the atmosphere was just amazing. And every time they nearly scored, the roar nearly deafened you. And then we equalised, made it 1 each. And it's hard to describe to somebody what silence sounds like in among 60,000 people. The only noise you could hear, and you could hardly even hear them, was our party over in the touchline.
Yeah.
And it was even hard to hear them. I was actually running back towards the goal there. Come on, get the noise back up again. But they scored again to make it 2-1, and I thought coming out of that stadium that night with a 2-1 defeat was actually not a bad result, because they was like a siege of the Alamo. So it was. We Giorgio Convazzi played for them at that time, and he was a great wee player. But we came home and thought it was the second leg. We drew 1 each at Windsor, so we were out 3-2 in aggregate, and we thought, like, that's it, back to the domestic game. And Freddie came, and we found out that Tbilisi had been thrown out because he tried to bribe the referee. We tried to bribe a referee against an Irish League team. Like, I thought, geez,
they didn't realise the competition there.
Apparently, they tried to they handed the referee an envelope with a lot of money in it or something, and the referee he
turned it in.
What
a loser. Why wouldn't he applaud at that?
But anyway, we weren't complaining, you know. We got another stint in Europe, and next thing was Copenhagen, the famous Copenhagen.
Because I was reading about this now, like going into, obviously AFC Copenhagen's a huge club. Massive. But the first leg at Windsor Park, we were fantastic that night. It was probably one of our best performances we'd ever played at Linfield. I was involved in. I think what keyed it up for us was, I know when I was out warming up, sometimes you look at the opposition when you're out warming up and stuff, and I thought they were very cocky. Right? They were strutting about and all, and, you know, and I thought, these boys think this is going to be easy, you know. And we went out and we started the game like a house on fire. We never let them settle at all, and went 2-0 up in the first half, which was a big enough, you know, result on its own, going 2-0 up against Copenhagen. And then we went in, we came out in the second half expecting, you know, them to come as, and some sort of retaliation, at least.
Yeah, but it didn't happen. We kept at them and got a deserved third goal, and we were in dreamland, beating Copenhagen 3-0, you know. Maybe could have scored a fourth one. Unfortunately, now we didn't score a fourth, but 3-0, full time, and it was all set up beautifully for Copenhagen. And Linfield took 1,000 fans to Copenhagen, actually, create a great atmosphere. Parkham Stadium. And
I mean, if you get 20 going in the European game, you're lucky. Like.
Aye, but Linfield with 1,000 fans over an away European game, and
that's incredible.
But anyway, it was a great atmosphere, and we started off the game in Copenhagen, and 20 minutes we were 2-0 down, and we thought, oh no, we're throwing this away. We came in at half time. Trevor tore absolute strips off us. He says, who the hell do we think we are? Because we went out thinking, let's go
polar opposite the Tuesday before.
Aye, let's go at them, let's gather and we'll go at their own game, within the 20 minutes we're 2-0 down, but we shut up shop, we tightened up, and we held on and we held on and we held on, and I knew the game was close. I knew it was nearly over. You could see Lindsay McKeown and Trevor at the referee, what's going on, because apparently I think the trainer wasn't on the park for the whole of the second half. Where he got 5 minutes from, I'll never know. But anyway, he got a free kick outside the box, and obviously they all know it's come into your head. Oh Jesus, no! But anyway, I set the wall up, and I thought to myself, "You're never going to beat me in here." I thought I had it settled perfectly, and Johnny, your man, hit a shot, and I swear that I'd never been beaten by a harder shot in my life. The only time I recognised anything that looked like a ball was a split second and went past the wall. Up the line, never seen it. That was the only time. The next time I seen the ball was packed out of the net, and we were absolutely devastated. At 3 each, extra time, and we had the only hope then was taking 8 penalty kicks because we were exhausted. We were absolutely out on our feet, and then they scored They scored the fourth one.
It was sort of like a last minute too, wasn't it? Like it was.
No, it was. I think it was the second half of the second period, extra time. I think they scored. There was still time left, but once the fourth one ended, we didn't have the energy to go up and get an equaliser. We were devastated. We really were going to change them, and because we knew. I think I'd shouted before the game, like, bring on AC Milan,
It's a good joke.
Let's bring on AC Milan, lads, And
to be fair, you're sitting 3-0. Like, I know, Copenhagen are a huge team, as we've touched on, massive club. When you're 3-0 up, you're sitting going, we're in a really good position here.
Oh, yeah.
But then you realise they're full time there.
We played the wrong game in the first 20 minutes. We should have went over there and we should have shut up. Trevor actually slaughtered us in the half time. He told us, who the hell do we think we are, sort of thing. And we realised afterwards, but that's the confidence the team had at that time. We were very confident. And sometimes you can be overconfident. And I think maybe we did get a wee bit overconfident in the first 20 minutes that night. But
when you talk about highs and lows of football there, within 7 days you've went from top of the mountain to very bottom.
But that's football. But the Friday came. They always have the draw on the Friday. And the news came through that they're drawing AC Milan. I was nearly sick. I doubled over. I said, you Johnny, calling Copenhagen all the names of the day. And
your fault. You put the score on. You killed them. He's shouting before it.
And I think Copenhagen got something like £1 million for the TV rights for their game in Denmark.
Right, okay.
So, and Windsor Park would have been full. There would have been 20,000 inside Windsor for AC Milan, no doubt about that.
100%.
And that's what we missed out on.
It's the idea of going to San Siro.
Oh, man.
And who's playing for AC Milan at that stage, do you know what I mean?
I tell you, I couldn't watch a game in a San Siro for about 2 or 3 months now. That's the truth.
It's second you?
I just couldn't watch
Italian football. Here, Italian football would have been on TV at that stage. I remember these times.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, and AC Milan won AC Milan won the European Cup that year. They beat Barcelona 4-0 in the final. And they come so close to playing that team was...
you could end up one of those big bright red and black jerseys.
Oh, man, I loved it. I was just... But when you see the way the season petered out and how we ended up winning 4 trophies, what a choice. Winning 4 trophies or playing AC Milan.
I'd take AC Milan game, I think. There's always a good chance Linfield will win 4 trophies.
But we'll maybe win the 4 trophies anyway, But I look back on that now. I know it was a big disappointment in the career. I look back on it now. It was an honour to be part of it all.
100%.
Because it was brilliant to be part of it also.
When you think about how many people play in Europe, never mind potentially beating Copenhagen final, and narrowly missing out on getting AC Milan. There's not many people that's going to be able to ever come close.
definitely a parade in my life. Everybody talk. Anytime I get interviewed, anybody, they always bring up Copenhagen, and it's something that will stay with me for the rest of my life. And
Apologies for bringing that up.
a
wee bit of a soft spot there. I can feel
it. It's good talking about it now. You look back on it and you say to yourself, I've took an step right, a free kick.
If you had set that wall up a wee bit,
yeah. If I could put that wall over another half a foot or another foot.
You need Jeffries to throw ahead at it. We've been all right.
Football's, you live and die by your decisions in football, and when you're a goalkeeper, you live and die by your decisions. Sometimes you make the right decision, and once you make that decision, you have to be committed to it, even if it's the wrong decision.
Okay.
And but I don't think two keepers would have saved that ball that night. I thought I was.
That's what I'd be saying too now. Like you could be stuck thick 6 was it?
And
wouldn't get anywhere near it.
I don't think Gordon Banks would have saved that.
Yeah,
your mum would have tried that 100 times and succeeded maybe twice. The way it hit that ball.
Supposed to be easier,
it didn't even dip. It went
straight up.
You hit it that hard. But a nice memory all the same.
Your whole overall aspect of you being at Linfield, right? From 26 to sort of 30, 32, whenever you leave, but whenever you are in that setup, you establish yourself that quickly of probably being one of the best goalkeepers in the league, because it's not often that, never mind somebody starting at 26, then playing in Europe, but you almost get a cap.
I was very, very close. I was skinning my teeth. Big Paul Key, he was playing for Ards at the time. And Tommy Wright was injured, Alan Ferris was injured, and me and Paul were called up, and a lot of people actually thought I was going to play because I was the goalkeeper in form at that time, and the manager had a decision to make. We went over to Austria and all, and went through the training sessions and stuff, and it was a great experience, with full-time pros and stuff.
Is that the first time that you'd sort of been anywhere near a Northern Ireland setup?
No, I think the first time I was in the squad for Austria, I was in the squad for Portugal and the Republic of Ireland. It was actually, I think Portugal was the first one.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the one I would have.
We played Portugal at Windsor Park, and I didn't really expect to play in that game.
Yeah.
Because Alan Fez was the number one at that time, and I was just there. I knew I was just there as backup. But the Austria game, when we went to Austria, it was a 50-50.
Okay.
I thought to myself, I could go on here, But he had a decision to make. Paul had played in that stadium before, so he had.
In Austria?
Aye. Paul had played in that stadium, and the manager had a decision: do I go with the experience or do I go with the keeper in form? And but he chose the experience, and to be honest, it was the right decision because Big Paul played a blinder that night.
Did
he was absolutely brilliant. And I actually roomed with Paul on that trip. Big Paul's a lovely fella. I was really delighted for him, and my chance had gone. I looked at it; my chance had gone. That was probably the closest I came to playing for Northern Ireland. But I played a couple of B internationals for Northern Ireland as well, which was a nice substitute. But in the Republic of Ireland game, funny enough, I walked out beside Rory Keane.
Okay.
That was an experience. Grumpy lot of me for her. I was actually locked down, I thought, I couldn't believe how small he was.
Yeah, it'd been a good battle between you and Roy anyway. I'd love to see him there on the pitch. I reckon you'd have taken him anyway.
What rubbing shoulders with people like that there was fantastic. And Big Paul got the nod that night again, and I think the Republic beat us 4-0 that night. But people don't. A lot of people from the outside don't. When you're looking in, the balls that we were playing with at that time, the conditions that night weren't great for a goalkeeper.
Okay.
With Big Paul, sure, I had a shaky game that night, but see those balls that we were playing with. A lot of people don't realise. Only us keepers they had a plastic coating on them, and you see trying to catch them balls in the rain. And the conditions that night, there was a wee drop of wind, and it was very damp, like light drizzle and stuff, and it was very bad conditions for a goalkeeper. And I think that's what. I felt sorry for Paul that night, because any keeper would have struggled in those conditions.
If that's me, there I'm saying, I got that. What's he on about?
No, Big Paul was a keeper I looked up to, so he was. I mean, there was two Probably two keepers in Irish League football at that time I would have looked to. One was Paul, and the other was Kevin McEwen. Two great keepers. Kevin would probably have been... There was attributes in Kevin's game which were better than mine, and I had attributes in my game which were probably better than Kevin's. And Big Paul was a mixture of the two of us.
Okay.
You know. But that was...
Well, how did you feel being in that sort of Northern Ireland setup? Because your first game that you got called in, like there's not many people will ever transition from the Irish League into a Northern Ireland setup. Even as a goalkeeper, as an outfield player, the gap is way too big.
I tell you, I was an experience.
Way too big. Do you know what I mean?
I was an experience training with full-time pros. They hit the ball harder,
Fitter, sharper.
fatter, sharper.
In terms of like you being where you're at and them being where they're at, could you see a massive difference?
Oh, you could see a big difference. Okay, you would definitely.
Like the likes of that Northern Ireland team probably would have had like Magilton, Big Dow would have maybe
Day,
Michael Hughes maybe.
Michael Hughes was there. Jimmy Quinn.
Did you just fit in? Was it just normal, like going away with a normal group of people?
That's what really surprised me. I thought, like, you know, going, what these guys got, they all was stuck up, really going up their own arse and stuff like that there, but they were all down here fellas. It was great. The night we had out after the game in Austria was fantastic.
Talk to me about the night out.
Oh, man. We all went down to the S Club and we more or less took it over.
Okay.
And it was, I don't really want to say too much, like, but it was a fantastic night. We were all, obviously when you win a game away like that there, you know, obviously the mood's going to be up, and we Gillespie scored a cracker that night. And but we had such a good night out after it. So it was fantastic. So it was, and that's what really, I thought, this is Northern Ireland I'm with here. You know,
they're going for nights out rather
you know, and that really surprised me, because I thought, you know, with the Bill stuck up professionals, they wouldn't, you know, but that really opened my eyes. I thought, these guys are all just down to earth, you know.
How was your confidence at that stage? Because if you come full circle from your time at Ballymena where you felt a wee bit sceptical, and then you get brought into a Northern Ireland team, I mean, obviously knowing where you were and the confidence that you must have had at that stage, you probably thought, I'd start in here, no problem.
I was in good form. So it was at that time. I was in good form, and I'd prepared myself. Like, we didn't really know he was playing up until a few hours before the game. Yeah. And I had prepared myself, you know, to play. I thought to myself, I'll get a nod here. I'm not going to let anybody down. That was the mindset you had to have. And Big Paul got the nod, and I just had to accept it. But as I say, Big Paul played a blender, and the manager made the right decision, because at the end of the day, he won the match.
Yeah, well, 100%.
So right down.
It works out the way it's supposed to then.
Yep.
You finish off your sort of duties with Northern Ireland, you go back. You're sort of coming towards the end of your sort of spell in the V, maybe done another year, max 2 left. Yeah. Do you know that you're coming at the end, or are you happy enough are you wanting to stay on, should I say, at Linfield?
I was, the way I left Linfield was a bit disappointing, really, because me and Trevor sort of had a love-hate relationship. You know, it was, me and Trevor were always at each other. You know, Trevor knew how to get the best out of me. Okay. You know, and that's his job as a manager.
As in like a psychological thing where he would push your buttons to get
exactly. Exactly. He knew the best, the way to get the best out of me was wind me up. You know, fair enough. Play wee mind games with me and stuff like that there, and he used to get me riled up some part.
The man Wes is a good Wes.
Yeah. Okay. And I loved it. I didn't like it at the time, you know, but I look back on it now. It was his way of getting the best out of me. Because there was a few times he would come in after a game, and he would tap you on the shoulder and say, "Son, sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind." You know, like he would come out with stay with us like that there. Yeah, he didn't like it, you know, but he was the manager, and that was his job, to get the best out of his players. And you know, I have to say, like, he stuck by me through thick and thin, really, and he obviously seen something in me. But at the time I left the club, there was talk. There was a goalkeeper coming up from down south, Van Boxtal or somebody's name was. But anyway, I had made the decision then. I went in to speak to Trevor in the office, and I said, "Look, Trevor, give me an extra £20 a week, and I'll sign." And that's all. Give me an extra £20 a week, and I'll sign. He started hemming and hawing about, your game hasn't been the game hasn't been the same as last winter months. This is 6 months since was in an international squad now.
Yeah.
20 quid, Trevor, and the rumours were coming strong that they were signing this guy from down in Dublin. And I thought to myself, maybe it's time to move on. And I'd made the decision then. I says, nah, I'm going to move on, because I didn't think Trevor, at that time, I thought to myself, I had my doubts whether they rated me or not.
Okay.
Does he rate me here? And when you have those doubts, if a manager, there's a manager, if you have those feelings, if the manager doesn't rate you, maybe it's time, to move on to different pastures. And I remember walking in, saying goodbye to all the players, and Big Davey actually shook his head. I said, Davey, I'm leaving. And Davey, what? And sort of shook his head. But Glentoran and Coleraine were the two clubs that came in to try and sign me. And I actually sat in Glentoran's office with the foreman all there ready to sign, and I thought to myself, I said to the Mars, I said, I can't do this. I can't do it. I just couldn't, because I made so many friends at Linfield, and Linfield had done so much for me. Linfield had practically changed my life,
Yeah.
Johnny, and there was no way I could ever repay what Linfield done for me.
Do you think that if you had a sign for the Glens, that your reputation would have been completely wiped out?
It's hard to say what would have happened. I don't think that Linfield member would like me signing for Glentoran. That's a given. But it was my own personal view. I didn't want to let down. I had made a lot of good friends at Linfield, and I didn't want to let me signing for Glentoran would probably, a number of wee reasons.
Okay.
I'd fallen in love with Linfield that much. I said to myself, no, I can't play for Glentoran. That wouldn't be the right move for me. And then I went and signed for Coleraine then. And it's funny, growing up as a Ballymena fan, the two teams we hated most was Linfield and Coleraine.
Yeah.
And I ended up playing for two of them. But no, Coleraine was an experience too. I enjoyed playing for Coleraine. The fans, I had a good rapport with the fans up there. So we should have won the league in '97. That's always the one that got away.
Yeah.
That league title in '97. We had beat Crusaders 3-1.
It was Crusaders that ended up winning the league.
Crusaders are fully experienced players, and we had beat Crusaders 3-1 up at Coleraine Showgrounds with 5 games to go, and it put us 5 points clear. And I remember picking up the Sunday Life in it that Sunday, opening up the back page, champions elect, and I thought, oh no, the kiss of death. And sure enough, it was a kiss of death, because we never won a game the rest of the season.
Yeah.
We unfortunately for us that season, the way sometimes a team wins the league, you can always look back over the season, a wee iffy spell where things weren't going right for them. We lost 2 or 3 games and went through a wee bad spell. Unfortunately for us, we had our bad spell right at the
Right at the end. Yeah.
and we ended up losing the league by 2 points. And I knew, even that day we beat Crusaders 3-1, I knew it wasn't over, because you're talking players like Stephen Baxter, Alan Tornan, Sid Burrows, players that had all been there and done it.
Stephen was a prime goal scorer at that stage too.
Them boys were never going to give up.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, and our last 5 games were Ards away, Glenavon at home, Glentoran away, Linfield home, and Crusaders away. So we had 5 tough games left. So for
The last game of the season was Crusaders.
No, second last game of the season was Crusaders. And for us, for the papers to say that we were champions elect, and I was raging, because I thought, I hope that doesn't affect our players the wrong way.
Yeah. It goes to their heads too quickly. And
Unfortunately, it seemed to have the effect. And
so second last game of the season, you play Crusaders at Seaview.
Seaview.
You're what, a point ahead at this stage, yeah? No?
No, Crusaders are, I think Crusaders are 3 points ahead. I can't remember what way the points were. Like we lost it by 2 points, I think. Crusaders didn't win their last game. We drew our last game against Linfield, and I think we ended up 2 points behind them. But anyway, Crusaders won the league. I can't remember what way it panned out, but Crusaders won the league that day to beat us 2-0. Or no, we drew 0 each with Crusaders at Seaview, and that won them the league. So that was a disappointing day. Especially
devastating turnaround too. Thinking 5
Oh.
or 4, we're in a good position here.
we were in a position where we could have done the double because we were in the quarter-final Irish Cup as well, and luck all beat us 1-0 at Coleraine, which was a bad result. Nothing seemed to go right for us after that.
Do you think it was more of like an inexperienced thing at
Oh.
that stage,
Yeah.
or nobody's kind of
Yeah, very
been
much so.
around and done it,
Very
kind
much
of
so.
help you over the edge?
I mean, I was only player on the team that had won a league title, and I think really an experience. I think once we had a couple of bad results, we didn't have. We definitely lost it mentally. I think that was the case. We balled it. It's just the easy way to put it that way. We balled it, but we had such a good season. We played some great football.
Did you win the Ulster Cup?
We won the Ulster Cup that year. I won the Ulster Cup, and but losing the league title was a big disappointment because I thought we should have won it. But then again, when you were Crusaders at that time, were the type of team you just didn't write off.
Yeah.
The clientele they had playing for them.
So whenever Crusaders come knocking on the door for you to sign, was it quite easy for you to do?
Oh, quite easy. Alan Dornan was the manager. It was a friend of mine, and it was there was a possibility that I would have signed for Cliftonville as well. Cliftonville wanted to sign me, but Dorney being the manager and being my mate, it was a no-brainer, and I went to sign for Crusaders. Spent two seasons at the Cruise. I actually, one of the happiest football matches I can remember was playing for Crusaders. Was the playoff against Distillery. I think it was 2002. We'd had a tough season fighting against relegation, but we had managed to get the playoff against the winners of the second division, which was Distillery. And I remember they beat us 2-1 down there, and the way they celebrated after the game. I mean, we were coming off the pitch. Obviously, you're disappointed you've lost the game and stuff like that there, but the way they were coming off the pitch, you thought they won the cup.
Yeah.
And me and Dorney and Big Stanley were looking at each other. I said, these guys realise there's a second game.
There's not. You have to come back to us. Like.
They have to go back to us, you know, and it sort of riled us a wee bit. We didn't need any motivation for the Friday night, because the Friday night game, that's right, in the changing room after the first leg, they were banging the walls and all singing, "It's just like watching Brazil. It's just like watching Brazil." And we're standing in the changing room, obviously disappointed that we've lost, you know, and we're saying, and we're looking at each other, you know. So you could see boys like Alan Dornan and that there, and Big Stephen and Davy Munster and that there, and I think Big Gareth McCauley was playing that night as well. I think Big Gareth was playing that. And we were looking at each other, and we needed no motivation for Friday night. Friday night came, and Big Stephen Baxter was on fire that night, scored a hat-trick. We beat them 3-1. But no prizes for guessing what was sung in the changing room after the game. We were standing in the shower, banging the walls. It's just like watching Brazil. It's just, and the moral of the story is don't celebrate too early.
No.
You know, and the story, I thought the way they celebrated after the first leg that night was...
It's quite naive of a team like that, isn't it, to be like, they don't fully understand at that stage.
Definitely. Yeah.
There's an hour 90 to play, like.
Yep, exactly. Any advice I give the young players, you know, it's never over till it's over. Because as you know yourself, a couple of seasons ago at Ballymena, was it you scored that equaliser in the last minute?
For the Irish Cup, you mean?
Aye.
No,
You scored the winner?
Yes.
Aye, you scored the winner, aye. But
Gets brought up a lot here, which is fantastic. Do you know what I mean? I don't mind talking about it.
only Ballymena could lose a cup final like that. 30 seconds to go, and I was screaming, who's in the back post?
That was their chance too, because they did do it the following year.
That's right.
Crusaders.
I think Crusaders were ready for them the following year.
To be fair, that initial game that we played, the first game,
Aye.
Ballymena should have
Ballymena were brilliant in that final.
Run all over us.
And
They did run all over us.
I think Crusaders were caught cold in that final, but they weren't caught cold in the second one.
No.
They were ready for the second.
It was 4-0.
So they were 4-0, aye. And they tortured Ballymena in the second one. But nice memories.
No, memories of football are good.
Oh, aye.
You get to celebrate it with our families and everybody's and some things that you'll just never forget.
Especially when you win a big trophy, like,
No,
fantastic.
especially whenever you score the winner.
Oh, great feeling. Must be a great feeling.
whenever you finish off and you obviously go to cruise, you're there with Stephen and stuff. When you look back across your career, you've played with some unbelievable centre forwards, unbelievable midfielders, defenders. If you could sum up the sort of best sort of defender, midfielder, and attacker that you'd played with across your time there, because I feel like the caliber of players sort of back then was extremely high.
I played behind some very. Take a '94 team as an example. I mean, the two best fullbacks I ever played behind my life, Dorney and Easto, they went through a brick wall for you. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're ever in the trenches, you'd want them two guys away with you. Two hard players in the middle of the centre defence. You had Jess Spears, another hard player, never missed much in the air. Noel Bailey, he mobbed up in behind him. Noel Bailey, 1,000 games for Linfield. That's just.
I know. Do you know what? I'd messaged Noel. One of the people that I really wanted to get on and speak about his career was Noel, and unfortunately he can't. I think Linfield are doing their own podcast.
Right.
Very unfortunate, because it would be extremely cool to have Noel come on and talk about his career. But
10 league titles and God knows lost count of how many other trophies he's won.
1,000 games.
Mr. Dependable. A great wee pro, Noel Bailey. And in that team we had midfielders like Gary Peebles, Lee Dougherty, Pat Fenlon, Ian McCush. You'd Philip Nell, Soupy Campbell was a good. Philip Nell and Soupy Campbell were probably the only two players that I wouldn't dive in on training.
Okay.
Because they make you look like a fool.
Right, okay.
So they were a skill to die for. You had Big Stephen Beattie out left. Great left foot. Up front we had Desi Gorman, Gary Haylock, goal machine. Desi Gorman was a great player too. Players like Mark Anderson and Richie Johnson, he was a good wee player too, Richie Johnson. He was over at Spurs at the time, but Richie was too nice. If Richie had had the temperament of, say, an Alan Dornan or a John Easton, he wouldn't have crossed the wire. He wouldn't have played across the wire. He was just a nice wee lad, just too nice, but great wee player. So he was.
The Irish League's different, isn't it?
Oh, it's different. And I've seen a lot of players come over from England and try and play Irish League football and couldn't hang it.
No, can't fit in.
Couldn't fit in. But as regards to other players now, Big John Devine was a great player. Unfortunately, I got injured the week before the season started when Big John signed for Coleraine. Big John was a great central defender. Pat McAllister was a great player too. Hard player, Pat. Passionate player. I think when I look back in '97, we lost the league by 2 points. We lost Pat through suspension.
This is Coleraine?
Coleraine, for about 8 games that season. Now, I think we drew about 10 games in that campaign. If we'd have won 2 of those games, we were champions. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the
fine margins.
Fine margin, and some of Pat was one of those players, a very hard player. Some of the bookings he got were disgraceful. The referees, Pat was booked for some ridiculous bookings. And you know yourself, Johnny, once the bookings pile up, suspensions. And Pat was our main player. So he was, and we missed him a few games that season. I think that had a hand in the way we lost the league as well. I think the best player, if I put my hand on my heart, who was the best player I ever played against in Irish League football, I would have to say Liam Coyle.
Okay.
He had this big bandage on his knee when he played. He wrecked his knee. I think he was on the verge of signing for Manchester United at the time. I think he would have absolutely cooked over there. I seen him doing things with a ball, just natural, just kill a ball, just anything, and some of the things he did with the ball. And this is with a big ugly bandage in his knee. What would he have been like?
Fully fit
Liam Coyle, I have to say Liam was probably one of the best players I played against. I really admired him, and there's so many to choose from. So there is.
When you play in league,
Jim Crew, he was
league winning teams. It's hard because the majority of the players you're playing with they're elite, aren't they?
Soupy Campbell and Philip Nell are definitely up there.
Yeah,
they're 2 great players. Striker-wise, I would have to say Gary Hallock. Gary Hallock was a goal machine. I always played against Spike. Spike was a good striker too. Like his stats speak for themselves. But I never had pleasure playing with Spike.
When you're sort of getting to that stage of Crusaders where you know that you're sort of finishing up, right? You've kind of realised that that's coming. What was that for you?
I didn't want to be one of these players. I retired at 38. I retired from Irish League football at 38. I didn't want to be one of these players that just played. It was just for the sake of playing.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to be. Even at that age, I still wanted to be winning things. Mm-hmm. And I knew that those days were past. And I just thought to myself, I just got to a stage, I thought to myself, maybe it's time to go. And I drifted back into junior football again, which was probably a big mistake. I should have quit. I should have quit there and then. But I think I played a season with Ballymoney, the B division, because Liam Beckett was a friend, you know, and I played a season with him. And then a couple of seasons started big, and he started minor league football again, and that was it. I just drifted out of it. And after that, and then I got an offer then when Spike became manager of Ballymena to coach the keepers up at Ballymena, and I was up there for 4 years, which was I enjoyed the first 2 or 3 seasons, but the last season,
was that something that you were aiming for coming out of football? Did you think, I don't want to be away from it completely, but I would love to take up a coach?
At that time, my mindset at that time, I thought to myself, you know, I would like to do a bit of coaching. But I'm telling you, Johnny, see when you were standing on that touchline and you're getting beat 7-0. We got a couple of tingings when I was out at Ballymena, and when you're standing on that touchline and you could do nothing, and your feet are itching and twitching to get onto the pitch and kick that ball, like, and it's a horrible place to be. You know, it's even worse than being a player.
How did you find transitioning from winning and having the career that you did to then coaching, and not probably being able to go in and voice the opinion that you maybe wanted to have? Like, you've probably never been on the end of a 7-0 defeat in your life, but I'm sure you were angry, you were emotional, you were...
The situation like that there, obviously...
You probably want to go in and scream and shout, and other times you go in and you can't.
There's fallouts and stuff, and you'll have a go at a couple of players and stuff like that. There are players that deserve it, you know. Football sort of brings out the worst in you in those situations, you know. And there was fallouts. If you see a player that's not doing it, you're going to have a go on, you know, because that's the way I would feel at Linfield. Mm-hmm. You know, at Linfield, you don't get away with that kind of shit, you know. I mean, if you're not pulling your weight, you'll be told no on certain terms. But certain players I found, you know, lower down the scale, when you do give them, you know, a chine or a bollocking or something like that, they take it personal.
Yeah.
All you're doing is trying to help them.
It's like constructive. Oblivious, not as fully constructive as...
Well, after a 7-0 defeat or something, a 5-1 defeat or something like that.
Very blunt.
Very blunt.
Yeah.
But you're looking for a reaction, you know. And there's 2 ways you can go. You're going to shake yourself for focus. Mm-hmm. You know, I'll show you. That was my attitude.
Yeah.
If somebody had to go at me, I was like, you know, secret life, I'll show you. Like, you know, that sort of thing, you know. If you go the other way, you're not going to be there too long. You know, and it's... I think that's what held me up. Why I survived at teams like Linfield, because I had that mindset. I've seen many as a player that couldn't handle that side of the game and drift out of it because of that. And so good players as well. It's maybe different now.
I would say, probably from whenever you were into what it was like, probably just whenever I just came out there last year, I think it would be very difficult to be a manager right now, trying to venture around what you can say and what you can't say and overstep the mark. And
I think players are very sensitive now. Some players are very sensitive now. You can't, you know, you have to be very careful what you say to them, and it's
too much red tape around things.
I don't know if I would like to play in today's game, to be honest with you. I don't know. It's I think I was lucky enough to play in an era
where men were men, and you could do and say what you wanted. And
I mean, and the abuse you got from the stands, I noticed. It's very conservative now. The players are not getting the same abuse.
Don't know about that now. Well, fucking Take a while later, a heap of abuse myself now for a year.
When I was playing,
I
I know when I was playing it myself, I mean, darts threw at me, and that's not a one day concentrating the game, and a whiskey ball flew by my head. Stuff like that there, I've been spat on, stuff like that there, but I just accepted it as part of the game, you know.
If anything, that's more motivation. Well, I haven't had any whiskey balls, but I've been spat at, I've been spat on, I've been called all names today, but I actually enjoy that side of it. Like, it's a weird,
it's weird,
because it was either you laughed at it and found it funny. I remember going to Linfield, and there was always a woman in the stand at Linfield, and she must have sat in the same seat every week, and all she did was abuse me about my eyebrows. And I could hear her wherever the f I was in that pitch. She would shout, "Where'd you get your eyebrows done?" And I could hear this voice continuously, and I'm like, see if she doesn't f up.
The funniest thing I think was ever said to me in a football pitch from supporters. It was the first time I shaved my head, and I was playing for shooters at the time. We were playing Portadown, and some went behind the fence. So the funniest thing I ever shouted at me was, "Hey Wes, did anybody tell you not allowed to wear a crash helmet during a game?"
Crash helmet.
And I swear I was standing concentrating again. I actually burst out laughing like I thought.
Some of them were good now.
Some of them were good now. Some of them were good, to be fair.
But I mean, they're entitled to their opinions.
Of course, they pay their money
and get in. They certain screaming of the
exactly. They pay their money. It's part and parcel of Irish League football, as far as as far as I'm concerned.
And as you say, as a manager, if you're in that situation and your players can't take it, they shouldn't be there.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the way I look at it, and that's one thing I learned at Linfield. You know, and I think that's the way Linfield suss. You know, they suss people out. You know, that way. If you can't take it,
you'll find out.
You're not what they want, sort of thing. You know, they want characters. They want people who are strong enough to accept.
Resilient enough to push it off the back and get back at
it. Exactly. And
I mean, that's the only pressure. The club's built on winning, as we spoke about at the start. If you can't take a bit of abuse from a side, you could hang on that.
Exactly. It's part and parcel of Irish League football. Some of the things, sometimes I'm sitting on the stand, some of the things I hear shouted at the players, you know, I sort of chuckle and laugh. You know, yes. Because some of it is funny. Like.
Yeah, they are. Your last sort of coaching season, Ballymena, you talked about there with Spike. They kind of put you to the edge, though, in terms of wanting to be involved in coaching. How difficult was it?
What do you mean?
So remember you just talked about there how your last season with Spike was a few big defeats and you're itching on the sideline, but once Spike sort of comes away and takes gate, I think obviously gets replaced by Davey at that stage, doesn't it? Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd actually got out before I'd left halfway through the season for work commitments, sort of thing, you know. And I think Spike got the sack about 6 weeks later.
Was it something that you were thinking about leaving anyway?
Yeah, I was, because I wasn't really enjoying it. So I wasn't, because I was seeing things with certain players, and I thought to myself, you know, this doesn't hurt them enough. When you see a player laughing after a 5-1 defeat, you know, kind of doesn't mean anything to them, and it hurts. It really does. You just want to put your feet under them, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean anything to them, you know what I mean? It's I know from personal experience, after a defeat, I was horrible after a defeat. I couldn't wait the next training session to get out of my system, you know. And then the weekend, the Sunday, you know, you'd been moping about the house, and it probably wasn't good company. That's the way defeat affected me. And when I see players laughing, you know, what are they playing the game for?
Yeah.
You know, are they playing the game to win, or is it just a game of football on a Saturday afternoon? Because that's what it looked like to me. A few of the players, you know, just
paycheck, just pick up their money.
Pick up their money, and just win, lose or draw, they don't give a shit, you know. I never played it, and I never was that way inclined myself.
So that sort of pushed you into time for me to go.
Probably
would have got to the stage in where something would have ended up being said, or do you know what I mean? And then you would have lost relationships over it.
Yeah.
Probably it's
very much so. Yep.
Yeah.
And once you realise it's your time, and after I left Ballymena, I said to myself, that's it. I'm not going back in again. I've had my day.
Now you're ready to enjoy.
Yep.
Just
enjoy a bit of life. And just pull out the grass, as they say.
You've been doing a lot with the grandson.
Aye, doing a wee bit. He's got a few wee skills about him, you know. Time will tell. As you know, Johnny, there's a lot of mountains to climb.
Right.
So he has. And football can be a cutthroat game sometimes. You need a wee bit of luck. I mean, I got a wee bit of luck. If I hadn't played in that semi-final in that Summer Cup competition, who knows what might happen, you know. And as I say, you need wee bits of luck here and there. And as I say, he's only, 10 years age. So yeah, so he's got a long way to go yet. And
The thing is, he's enjoying it, you know.
oh, he's enjoying it. Aye. There's another grandson coming up there as well. He'll probably have a ball at his feet as well. So he will. So
Just natural, isn't it?
we've had four members of the family play for Linfield.
Okay.
So we have. So the pressure's on the two of them.
They need to follow suit.
The pressure's on the two of them.
Well, listen, thank you so much for coming in. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you in. What a career, and as I say, probably one of the most different rises to glory that I've heard. But very much so enjoyable.
I don't think it would happen now, funny enough. I don't think a 26-year-old coming in now, I don't think it would happen.
Especially not getting chucked in.
No.
Do you know what I mean? But then again, I feel like the game's very different now. Do you know what I mean? Whereas back then you heard of people maybe getting brought into squads and there were a couple of leagues below and given a chance.
Yep.
If you're not sort of coming through an academy or a bit of a name or whatever, you're kind of done for.
That's right. Yep.
Or you need to be hitting 50 or 60 goals in championship before you get alive.
Yep.
Lucky enough I'm out of it now. I'm not to worry about it.
You're not finished yet, lad. You know, you still get that knee sorted. You never know.
Never know. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming in. We finish on hugs is the only thing. So, up.
That was your mate. Henry, you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers, John. Appreciate it, sir.
So.
Join us next week on the On the Spot Football Podcast for yet another fantastic guest. I'm not going to give anything away in case somebody cancels. See you soon.